toughest time of the day to stay awake. So what I'm presenting here is our company is called U-Spec, and our punchline is virtualized space. So basically, we're not a kind of people IoT company. What we're concerned about primarily is actually space and possibly the relationship between people and space. So just a short interview. A short overview. U-Spec is an architectural and engineering company. So we're kind of a marriage between architecture and engineering. So we don't create unicorns, but hopefully at least it's an interesting monster. Right? And we deliver an integrated data acquisition and data processing and material procurement and building making solution. This sounds very diverse and complicated, but the core business model is actually quite simple, which I'll go into more details later on. So what we have done, the company actually has been in operation in China for 4 years. So we've done a few quite interesting projects, and one of them is Shanghai Tower, the future tallest building in the world. And we've done some core modeling work for the entire building. And also the Civic Tower in Beijing, Civic Tower, the original Civic Tower in Beijing was the first high-rise building since the economic reform started in 1978. And the new Civic Tower building, we basically did the elevator part of the BOM and model. And also Shanghai Disneyland, and primarily the Adventure Isle, handle the procurement management, including BOM and supply chain management of Shanghai, part of Shanghai Disneyland. And we have also done more than 50 commercial buildings around the Bay Area. So we're actually gaining some traction and getting a lot of interest with our core technology here. And so the core technology, we divided into 3 parts. So data collection, basically we're using 3D depth camera. So I want to point out here that the building we're trying to create here, the model we're trying to create here is not a regular model that you can shoot with your cell phone. We're actually building industrial grade models with sub-centimeter precision. So let's say the distance between that wall and here, after our camera captures the image and we build a model out of it, is going to be sub-centimeter in precision. So that's what differentiates from some of our competitors. And also data processing, we have artificial intelligence running on the cloud. And we basically, this program is, the objective of this program is to vectorize the image. We started out with a point cloud, which is just a whole bunch of points. And we vectorize it, and we recognize the objects of walls, ceilings, and beams, as well as furniture in this model, and then we classify them. So eventually our end product is fully vectorized, interactive, multi-attribute database of the building. So by multi-attribute, I mean, let's say this podium, right? So after we recognize it, we know the manufacturer. So we actually have a multitude of attributes attached to this object. So this is actually a very deep vectorization process. So we're basically building a database of building space and objects in the building, including ACs, heat exchangers, and so forth. Again, we're an architecture, founded company, architect-founded company. So we're basically building everything industrial grade. So on the bottom, it basically shows the process. You take a proprietary camera and you basically acquire a point cloud file, and we make it into a finite element object file. And eventually we feed that through our artificial intelligence. It's kind of, usually we use CNN, it's a deep learning artificial intelligence neural network. And we convert the object file eventually into a multi-object, multi-attribute vector file. And our customers, actually, we can potentially appeal to a wide variety of customers. It could be designers, contractors, and it could be architects too. So the building, we're actually interested in managing the whole life cycle of the building, from the design to the renovation to eventually the for the management companies to manage the building and maintain the building, and also for material and the furniture vendors, which we can potentially promote their business by putting a virtual model of their product into a certain building just to see how it works. And again, we have the data from about architecture, about color, and everything. So when you place it, the effect will be very realistic. And our tech advantage, again, we're architecture-driven technology, and we can deliver pretty quick service, and that's why a lot of companies, a lot of commercial building owners around the Bay Area are very interested. We use less than 50% of the time, and at a very, very reasonable price, and we can have fully vectorized models of the building. And also, we have a model-driven design, renovation, maintenance, and procurement that's built around this vector model. So we can cater for a wide variety of audience. And this is basically outlines our cost advantage, in terms of property measurements. When you try to, your step one of building models is to measure the property, and it only takes us half the time and half the cost. And model rendering, so we're doing everything on the cloud. So you give us the full cloud with the raw data file, and on the cloud we render a full vectorized model. And we can make an animation, so we can make an animation demo with basically just one extra day of work. And we also have furniture and equipment data already built into our system. And our data accuracy, again, is almost 100% because we're using a pretty advanced steady camera to capture our point cloud file. And our data life is basically life cycle. So once you have this building in place, once you have done the vectorization and modeling, it stays with this building for life. Let's say in the future you want to do some energy savings measure, modification to a building, and you have this vector model. You can use it to do CFD analysis, or you can do some structural engineering with it as well. So our kind of market entry point is smart realty, because this is an area where we're already gaining some traction around the Bay Area. So the process is basically, again, taking a picture first and generating a point cloud file, and on the cloud, we vectorize the file, and we feed that to the seller's agent. Right? So the seller's agent can push that vector file or URL or link to it to their potential clients. Or if somebody passes the building and they're interested in seeing the inside of this building, they don't need to wait for the realtor to open the door for them. All they have to do is scan a little 2D barcode, and they open our app and give you a virtual tour inside the building as well as around the building as well. So our business model is basically, this is still somewhat temporary. So for realtors and architects and designers, we collect a 5% commission, service fee. And for furniture suppliers, and material suppliers, let's say Home Depot or IKEA store, once we have their library of all their objects, if somebody found their item through our channels, we take a 5% revenue share, as well as for contractors we can also collect some advertising money. So this is just our market overview. I kind of intentionally skipped revenue projection here, and I'm just basically trying to give a very crude estimate of the total addressable market. Architecture, property management, real estate sales and brokerage, furniture sales, those are all multi-billion-dollar industries. And for other contractors, interior designers, even DIY homeowners and corporate maintenance staff, they can use our model to save time and money. So that, even if we can just collect, if we can reduce their cost by 2% or increase their sales by 2%, that's roughly $1 billion market right there per year in terms of revenue. So in terms of future development, right now we're actually using a mass-produced camera that's already out on the market to capture only indoor image. The camera is no good outdoors. So we've assembled a team of experts that came up with some idea of building a camera, a precision depth camera that can work both indoors and outdoors. So we're actually working on a patent in that area. If you walk around the building outside, you can still come up with a fairly precise model of the building from the peripheral of the building. And so we're also interested in the construction contractor market. So when you build a building, sometimes you want to do some cost control, and more importantly, scheduling. You don't want to pay for the material of the entire building. After you have the walls up, the structural walls up, and then you can worry about the beam and maybe finally about furniture and carpet and so on. So with our database, you can actually schedule the delivery and ordering of everything. And sometimes custom order also takes time. So we're going to develop a more intelligent software to allow contractors to schedule the construction process. And also in terms of corporate space management, if you want to do some innovation and renovation or remodeling, that's actually a pretty big market. So right now, our first focus will still be on residential real estate. But in the future, we're interested in the corporate world as well. And also building an energy savings solution. We can team up with some CFD company to make sure, let's say, a data center can deliver the most efficient. Let's say we kick in the fan or water circulating system at the right time, so you can end up saving a lot of money. So with our venture model, this allows you to basically use that as a starting point with your CFD model. And also, we can build a building space VR content. This is actually, we can potentially work with gaming companies. Just imagine, I used to joke with Mr. Lee, our founder, just imagine shooting zombies in Shanghai Center, right? So it could be a pretty cool gaming experience. And also indoor navigation, because we're starting with a full veteran model. So doing navigation this would be a good entry point for indoor navigation. And we're basically seeking $2 million in convertible notes. And this is our team member assembly. Is kind of the head of the geek squad, and he's been in the business for many years. And all the previous projects that I've mentioned were actually conducted under Mr. Lee in Shanghai. And Cindy, who's also in India, in the audience, and she's our marketing operation. And that's me. You're welcome to talk and find out who I am. And these are some of our key advisors. And in particular, I want to point out, Ming Lee, who's also the organizer of this event, he's one of our advisors. Jeffrey Keller. Jeffrey Keller is a big shot architect.